Well, good afternoon from the Daren Sammy Cricket Stadium here in Grosseille, St. Lucia. And we are all set and ready to go on day one of the second unofficial test match between Bangladesh A and West Indies A. Finally, some action here on day one. And of course, Josh De Silva, he called it right at the toss once more. And he asked the Bangladeshis to take first strike. I think it's a good call because there's another green deck that has been prepared. Good covering of grass, hard track out there, a bit of preparational moisture as we said, so it's going to assist the seamers quite a lot, hence they have bolstered their seam attack. Alongside me is Greg Wilson, former Windward Islands cricketer. Good afternoon, Greg.
Yes, good afternoon, and good afternoon to all those who are following the proceeding here at the Daren Sammy Cricket Ground today. Yes, as you did indicate, it's nice to have some cricket finally.
Yeah, definitely so. And it's very good to have cricket after this long. And these players, of course, would be raring to go this afternoon. And it's going to be Anderson Phillip who is going to take up the attack for the West Indies A team. He's come in to this team. He didn't play in the first game. And it's going to be Mahmudul Hassan Joy and Shadman Islam who is going to take strike for the Bangladesh A team. Mahmudul Hassan Joy, he's going to be on strike. He's going to be facing the first ball of this game. And as I said, these players will be raring to go here. You could have seen when we were out there earlier, they really wanted to get into this game. The umpires for today's contest, umpire Carl Tuckett and Mr. Dayton Butler. Umpire Carl Tuckett, the standing umpire at the moment. Umpire Dayton Butler, he is at a square leg. So here's Anderson Phillip with the first ball. And just on the line of that middle leg stump to get things on the way. And that's the end where Mahmudul Hassan Joy is positioned. That's the end where there were a couple damn spots just short of a good length, Greg, but that has dried up nicely.
Yes, Anderson Phillip, as we know, did play the last test against Bangladesh for the West Indies senior team, so he would have had a bit of experience over here. So certainly would want to use this condition to his advantage.
Yeah, definitely so. He's been in and around the setup, the West Indies setup. He's had his test call up as well, Anderson Phillip. He's played ODI cricket already for the West Indies. And he'll want to show his experience. He's played a lot of regional cricket for Trinidad and Tobago Red Force. And he's had a brilliant season as well. So he's coming into this game with a lot of confidence. He didn't play in the first game, so he'll want to get into this game very early. And he has the conditions to assist him as well, Greg.
Yes, certainly. With the still a bit overcast, and as you did indicate a little early on, there's a tinge of green out on the pitch.
That's an excellent delivery there from Phillip. Just back of a good length there, and it's just pitching and moving away from the right-handed Mahmudul Hassan Joy was fending at it, just tempting the batsman there, Anderson Phillip. 3 slips in position and the gully as well.
Yes, good bowling there by Anderson Phillip. What you would say, bowling a 4th stump line, basically down the corridor of uncertainty, so he really had to play at it. So very good delivery indeed.
Yes, you'd want to use these conditions here as a bowler when you've been given the opportunity by your captain to get things off. You want to get into the game. This time it's edging, dropping just short of that fielder at gully. It's Justin Graves who's been positioned there. Again, Anderson Phillip just drawing Joy forward, and he was looking to just push at that one. And so 4 dot deliveries to start proceedings here for the West Indies A. Anderson Phillip, in his 1 test match that he's played, just picked up 2 wickets, best figures of 2 for 30, and ODI career of just 5 matches thus far. Didn't have the best of returns, just 4 wickets in that, with an average of 51.75. It's a good delivery, just pitching and just maybe holding up a bit and slowing up his pace there, Anderson Phillip, and Joy comfortably pushes it into the offside.
Yes, good bowling there by Anderson Phillip, just bowling just on about the off stump line, so really having him to play at almost every delivery. So finally, from the last game, we're asking for a bit of consistency, and we've seen it from the very first over from Anderson.
Yeah, and Mamadou Hassan Joy, on the other hand, he went for a duck in the first game, so he'd want to really make up for that in this game, and he'd want to score big here. This time, a full pitch delivery, and that's runs for the Bangladeshis. And speaking about Joy and his duck in the last game, he's off and running. And that completes the first over. At the end of it, Bangladesh A, after being sent in by Josh De Silva and the West Indies A team, they are 1 without loss.
Yes, the end of a very good over there by Anderson Phillip, really testing Mamadou Joy just outside the awesome, and as we indicate, really have him playing at almost every delivery. So certainly the captain, De Silva, would be pleased with his very first over.
Yeah, I think it's a good start. Just getting a feel of what the pitch is like. You know, they would have looked at it, but there's nothing like playing on the surface, Greg. So you just have to get a feel, just settle in as a bowler, and like a batsman as well would do, you need to settle in as well.
Yes, and from our vantage point, you could see it's a new track that they're playing on.
Yep.
This second game.
Yeah, I think that the track that's being used is the most central track here at the Daren Sammy Cricket Ground. So the boundary to both ends of the track would be more equivalent, and I think that could assist the bowling team as well. It's going to be Marquino Mindley, who had a good game in that first game, despite, you know, the result that we had here at the Daren Sammy Cricket Ground, the match ending in a stalemate. But Mindley, he bowled brilliantly, and of course he had 5 for 59 in 17 overs in that first innings when the West Indies were able to limit Bangladesh to 167 all out. What a performance that was. And he's just getting the ball to move away from the right-handed Mamadou Hassan Joy. Yes, Greg, what a performance Mindley had. Yes,
it was an excellent performance in the first game. It was unfortunate that the game really could not have continued into a second inning. I'm certain that he would have been looking forward to bowling on the track a second time, but certainly, yes, he did put up his hands and he had some impressive returns.
And he'd want to put up a similar performance here today for the West Indies A team. Not much time in the day left, just about 2 hours, 2 hours and a half again in the day's play. Of course, the game starting 3:15 p.m. this afternoon, if you're just joining us, due to a wet outfield and some damp areas on the surface as well. There were inspections at 9:50, 11:20, 1 p.m. and 2 p.m. And then the umpires were happy. They decided that the game would have started at 3:15, and you have to say the groundsmen did some good work as well.
Yes, they have done some excellent work to have had the start at this point in time.
This time, that's a peach of a delivery there from Marquino Mindley, pitching and moving away. Not much foot movement there from Mamadou Hassan Joy. I think he just needs to get into his game here, Mamadou Hassan Joy, get those feet moving.
Yes, feet aren't going anywhere that much, but one really has to credit the bowler for bowling in good areas.
Yeah, and they need to do that. A bit short, the West Indies, despite, you know, they bowled well, their return showed, but they were a bit short. With the ball moving and nipping around, you want to get that ball pitched up. Encourage the slip fielders like that, edging and through that slip cordon, and that will be the first boundary of the game. Mamadou Hassan Joy picks it up, a fortuitous one, but a boundary nonetheless.
Yes, good bowling there and good movement there off the seam, and the ball going between the foot slip and the gully down to the vacant footman boundary for 4. So excellent delivery there by Marquino Mindley, but fortunate enough for Mamadou Joy, he bisected the 2 fielders and got 4 runs.
Not in total control of that at all there, Mamadou Hassan Joy, you have to say. And the West Indies slip cordon could be in the action early here in the piece. And just through that third slip, in that gap between third slip and gully. With the ball moving around, they need to be on their feet here, that slip cordon. That one just holding its line a bit. And of course, the West Indies senior team in action at Sabina Park against the Black Caps. And that's the first T20 international of the series. And the West Indies won the toss. Nicholas Pooran decided to field first. And the New Zealand team, they are 95 for 2 at the moment. Odin Smith is the pick of the bowlers with 2 wickets. Kane Williamson, he's there on 15. Glenn Phillips, he is on 16. What an absolute jaffer there from Mindley. Pitching again and playing inside the line of it there. And Mahmudullah San Joy, and that completes the second over. At the end of it, it's 5 without loss.
Yes, the end of a very excellent over by Mindley. Yes, this last delivery there just about off stump and moving away from the batsman, really drew him into the shots. So excellent bowling there by Mindley. So basically, he's continuing from where he left off of the first game.
And that's the kind of deliveries you ask your bowlers to bowl, Greg. You know, yes, you want to get the batsman playing. And how else you're going to get them playing with the ball moving around? You want to pitch it in that area, just on about that 3/4 length, where the batsman is in 2 minds whether to play forward, whether to play back, and draw him into the shot.
Yes, that sort of back of a lane delivery where it's not the sort of shot you could cut or pull, and you have to be a real good batsman to be able to drive on the up. And with the ball seeming that early, I don't think any batsman will be that brave enough to want to be driving on the up so early.
Is Anderson Phillip bowling his first delivery to Shadman Islam. So Islam hasn't faced a delivery yet. That will be his first, of course. And yes, we were speaking about that in the first game where you mentioned driving on the up. We didn't see much batsmen do that. He had the Daren Sammy Cricket Ground in that first game.
Not at all. I think if my memory serves me right, I think Mitton was the only person who was driving on the up.
I think Naeem Hassan as well, did that. Joshua Silva, he showed some intent to do it, but he was picking out those fielders at mid-on and mid-off. There's some concern at the moment at the northern end of the ground. Someone seems to be walking across the side screen. I'm not too sure what's the concern. Anderson Phillip is a bit disappointed.
Side screen they have not closed.
Okay.
So we're still seeing the advertising on the side screen.
Well, we've just seen them move the advertising board from the far end, from the southern end, and I think they need to do the same here at the northern end as well, which he didn't do. Here's Anderson Phillip though. All is well now. I think that delivery pitched in that area where it was a bit damp earlier. You can see the ball just holding up just a bit. Anderson Phillip can really work up some steam, you know, Greg.
Yes, young man could be a bit pacey, and especially at the Daren Sammy Cricket Ground where the wicket normally assists fast bowlers. So he has the ideal condition to certainly work up a steam.
Yeah, definitely. And Shadman Islam, remember, he was struck on the head at the 3rd slip. Actually, 2nd slip. This time he's driving. Excellent stuff there from Anderson Phillip. Pitching that delivery up wide of the off stump. Shadman Islam almost falling over as he was looking to drive that one.
Yes, certainly just outside the off stump. Full length, really drawing the batsman into the shot. But the ball kept moving away and ended up right in front of first slip.
Yeah, and we were speaking about Shadman Islam. You were here, Greg, and you saw when he was struck on the head at 2nd slip of a delivery of Animal Hacks bowling that came off the outside edge of Chandapal's bat.
Yes.
Tejaran Chandapal, that is.
This one really burst through his hands basically and struck him right above the eye, his forehead.
Yeah, so it's good to see him back out there for Bangladesh A team. And Phillip continues his good work with the ball this afternoon. And for the viewers that just tuned in, you may be wondering, it's 3:26 p.m. in the afternoon. The game has just gotten started. You're seeing 5 without loss after 2.4 overs, and you're asking yourself, why is that so? Well, Phillip is going to continue. 5 without loss at the moment. So he needs to be consistent here, Anderson Phillip, and that is what we are seeing from him. And Shadman Islam is not going to leave them alone for a long period. He has to play at 1, and Phillip will have that in the back of his mind as well. But we've seen from Shadman Islam, Greg, that he is a patient player.
Yes, we saw him in the first 4-day game we had that ended up on Sunday that he showed the propensity that he could stay out there and bat for a long period.
In that first game, Shadman Islam had 17 of 46 deliveries in the first innings. He was caught by Ali Catanese of the bowling of Justin Graves. So you've seen some lift there from Anderson Phillip in that over, and that completes the third over of the game. It's still 5 without loss.
Yes, still a good, decent over there by Anderson Phillip, although on this occasion we saw him perhaps bowling a little much wider outside the off-stump as opposed to the first over where we saw him bowling more of off-stump line to the batsman.
Yeah, so he as you said, he needs to settle in, and that he is doing. He's just working out the conditions, and he's realizing what he needs to do. This is his first game of the series, Anderson Phillip. And his partner on the other end, he has a good partner with him. That's Marquino Mindley, the Jamaican, 27 years of age, Marquino Mindley. And of course, he has 102 first-class wickets now to his name, getting 5 in that first game. He started that game with 97. His best bowling figures in first-class cricket are 5 for 20 in an innings and 7 for 73 in a match. He's someone you don't want to take lightly if you're a batting team. Short leg in position, 3 slips, well actually 4 slips now. That gully fielder coming in a bit closer for Mindley, who's getting the ball to move away quite a lot and prodigiously. We saw in the last over of Marquino Mindley a delivery going through that cordon between third slip and gully. I think that's the reason why, Greg, they have brought in that gully fielder into a 4th slip position. Yes,
I like to say when the horse has already bolted. But yes, it's nice to give Mindley all the support that is required.
I think, I think it's safe to say that that's been the kind of captain that Josh De Silva have been. We saw in the first game giving support to his bowlers, support to his entire team, and now doing that. So that's good to see. It's always good to see the captain supporting their bowlers, supporting their team, giving them that protection, that luxury to operate and do what is right, do what's needed for the team. So he's happy just to leave those deliveries outside the off-stump, Mahmoudullah San Joy. And he's a kind of player that likes to take on the game as well, Joy. He likes to have some fun early on in the piece. But with guys like Mindley and Phillip approaching from either end, I think it's going to be difficult for him to do so. That's umpire Carl Tuckett. He's had some work to do this morning, and he's out there. Much straighter line from Mindley, and the Silva gets into the action, the skipper of the West Indies A team, and just getting in behind that one there. And that's a better line. I think he could be a bit wider of that off stump, but that's a better line, making the batsman play.
Yes, the delivery where Joy was edging to between slips and gully was just slightly outside the awesome, what we would call the 4th stump line. So this is the sort of areas we would want to see mainly attacking the batsman.
Yeah, and just bowling that short delivery on about that body there, and Joy's happy to play it back. He had to duck there because we saw that one fired into the gloves of Tevin Imlach. 4 overs have been bowled here at the DSCG. It's 5 for no loss.
Yes, the opening bowlers are keeping things a bit tight, really not giving away any freebies. The only 148ers boundary we saw early on of the bat of Joy that went through the foot slip and the gully region, but by and large the 2 bowlers are keeping things very tight at this point in time.
Yeah, you have to say so. And as a skipper, Greg, speaking from a player's perspective, as a skipper, that's something you would want. You win the toss, you elect to field first, good conditions for bowling, seam bowling in particular. I'm sure you'd be a happy captain if you see your bowlers operating like this.
Yes, most definitely.
This time, that's a good delivery again. Just underscores the point of the seamers in the early exchanges here, being consistent with their line, with their lengths. And yes, Greg, you were just expanding on how happy a captain would be if you're seeing your bowlers exhibiting in this manner.
Yes, because once you've inserted the opposition, you certainly want to take early wickets. And if that is not happening, one of the things you do not want to see is that your bowlers just licking runs. So in the absence of wickets are not being taken, you want them to be bowling a consistent line and length. And certainly you want them to be beating the batsman as often as possible.
You don't want to waste that new ball, that new cherry. And Anderson Phillip isn't wasting it at all. He's bowling to the man from Dhaka in Bangladesh, that's Shadman Islam Anik. And he's played for Dhaka Metropolis, Rangpur Rangers, and East Zone in Bangladesh. He's also played on the 19 cricket for Bangladesh. And he's no stranger to the Bangladesh senior team as well. 13 test matches he's played, 559 runs, and his highest score of 115 not out in test cricket. So he's a senior campaigner in this Bangladesh setup, and hence I say that he is someone, Greg. When you have these kind of players in your team, they come down from the senior level. They've played international cricket, of course. They come down to this level, the A-team cricket, and they're rubbing shoulders with the youngsters now, Greg. I think that's pivotal in itself. It really aids the youngsters. That's why, as a senior player, when you come down to this level, you want to stamp your authority, you want to make your presence felt. And in doing so, you would set the example for these youngsters.
Yes, most definitely.
Straightening up the line a bit too straight, you have to say. There's just that short leg fielder, there's a wide fine leg fielder on the boundary, and there is that short mid wicket. Anything either side of the short leg fielder could be runs, or straight down the track past that mid wicket fielder.
Yes, on this occasion, this last delivery, just pitching about middle and off and just straightening up a bit.
Daren Sammy Cricket Ground, nestled in the valley among the Beausejour Hills here in Grosse-Ile. And that one could have just been slipping out of the hands of Phillip there, because from what we've seen, he hasn't been erratic at all. That one just may be slipping out, Greg.
Yes, one would want to think, and looking at the way he's trying to dry his arms, it could have been a case of perhaps sweaty palms.
Yes, definitely so. And just looking at the teams for this game, Mohammad Mitun, the captain of Bangladesh, Shadman Islam, Mohammad Saif Hassan, Mahmudul Hassan Joy, Fazul Mahmood Rabi, Mohammad Zakir Hassan, Jaka Ali Anik, Naeem Hassan, Tanvir Islam, Saeed Khalid Ahmed, and Mrityunjoy Chowdhury. That's the Bangladesh team. And the 12th man for them is Shahadat Hussain Deepu. And just to look at the West Indies team, Greg, Josh De Silva, captain, Yannick Carrier, Tejnarayan Chanda Paul, Jeremy Solazano, Alec Atanase, Tevin Imlak, Justin Graves, Colin Archibald, Markino Mindley, Casey Carty, Anderson Phillip, and the 12th man, Brian Charles. So that's how the team suits up. Sherman Lewis and Jeremiah Louis have been left out for
Anderson Phillip. He continues from the media center end. So, Greg Wilson, we apologize for that slight break in delay. The score here at the Daren Sammy Stadium, 9 without loss. Bangladesh A, sent into bat by Joshua De Silva, having won the toss. We, of course, had a late start at the Daren Sammy Stadium. Had some persistent rain over the past... Some persistent rain over the past few days, and you know what that's like, Greg. I mean, you've had to deal with rain out here in St. Lucia. Lovely, usually sunny St. Lucia.
Yes, the last 2 days, Monday night in particular, it was raining very heavily. And up to, well, last evening into early this morning, there was still persistent rain. So certainly that had a certain effect on the commencement of play today.
Well, maybe you'd have enjoyed rain in your football days, Greg, but certainly not for cricket.
No, rain is not something you want to associate with cricket at all. Footballers would be happy to be playing in the rain.
So it's Marquinhos Minley, continuing from the pavilion end. Had a fiver in that first game. He'll want to repeat some of those heroics, and he's in. Bowls of joy. That one outside the off stump goes through to the keeper. No run. The score remains on 9 without loss.
Yes, Joy was fortunate enough in the very first over of Marquinhos Minley, getting an outside edge. The ball went through between the foot slip and the gully region and went down to the boundary for 4. So he was considered very fortunate. That ball did not go to hand.
I'm sure Minley will have his mind set on that. Has 4 slips in effect as he runs in from that pavilion end, sticking to that line just outside off stump, a bit too wide this time.
Yes, very wide indeed. The batsman really had no interest in playing any shots. Certainly he needs to be bowling what we would call a more fourth stump line, so that you would at least look to draw him into a shot.
So in that first unofficial test, Bangladesh skittled out for 167. They'll be hoping to do much better than that. West Indies, they had 263 for 5. That game also rain affected as Minley in once more to bowl to Joy. Better ball on a line, Joy just behind it. Watchful, pushes it back down the wicket. There'll be no run.
Yes, the very first game, one would say that perhaps the Bangladesh batsmen were not so much acclimatized to the condition as yet, and more so with the sort of pace and bounce of the Daren Sammy Cricket Ground, sort of that track there, which could be a little challenging for most batsmen who are unaccustomed of that sort of condition.
So it's very important tour, A-team tour. A lot of these players would have played Test cricket before. Joy among them, Minley in now to bowl. To join drives well, and that one will go all the way to the boundary. In spite of all the rain, still a very good outfield here at the Daren Sammy Stadium, always has been. And that one crashes into the ropes now. It's another boundary for Bangladesh, takes them on to 13.
Yes, mainly on this occasion, just over pitching this one. Joy really did not need a second invitation. This one was powerfully struck to the right of the fielder at short cover and down to the boundary for 4. So good execution there by Joy.
I tell you what, do you think they might be encouraged by that shot? Actually, at least they want to have the Bangladesh batsmen playing at these balls, and hopefully they'll pick up an edge, or it'll go to one of the other fielders as well. This one coming back into Joy, watchful behind that one, looking good, good defensive shot.
Yes, Joy has shown that he is prepared to drive anything that is basically outside the off stump, that is on a full length. He has gotten 2 boundaries through the cover region, driving those pitch-up deliveries. So Minley should be encouraged by that. There will be 4 slips, really. This is the sort of line that you really want to encourage the batsman into the drive.
Minley in once more to Joy, and he just shoulders arms, lets that one go through. Good leave, but again, persisting with that line outside off stump. It comes to the end of that Minley over. Bangladesh, they're 13 without loss.
Yes, Bangladesh would be pleased with the sort of start they've had. Some 8 overs been bowled so far, some 44 remaining in the day's play. That is weather permitting, that we may. but as much as possible they would want to bat deep into the day and lose as few wickets as possible.
Well, we've seen some low grey clouds coming across the ground, just behind those hills now. But the good news is that there's a brisk breeze about, and usually when there's a brisk breeze about, it takes those clouds away from us. So let's hope we'll get all of those overs in as Anderson Phillips continues around the wicket, this time from the media centre end into Shadam. And Shadman Islam just leaving that one outside the off stump.
Yes, just a little too wide outside the off stump. The batsman really not going to play at those delivery. Would be pretty happy to just allow them to go through. So Philip needs to get a little closer to the batsman.
Joshua Da Silva, the captain for this A-team tour, West Indies captain, continuing with his attacking field. 3 slips, close to 4 slips. That's a very fine gully as Anderson Phillips continues around the wicket into Islam. And again, as you said, Greg, much too wide.
Yes, much too wide. As an opening batter, you'll be more than happy to just allow this to go through to the keeper.
So there's protection on fine leg. There's a man just short on the leg side, short mid wicket, and an attacking field on the offside. As I said, 3 slips, a gully, point, a man out at that short extra cover position. Phillips once more into Islam. Bright sunshine over his shoulder, and what would you say? Wasted delivery.
Yes, certainly. Philip, from what we saw of him in the first 2 overs, he was very consistent, very attacking. But on this occasion, we have seen 3 deliveries, one, as you did indicate, just wasted deliveries.
What do you think about this plan of coming over the wicket? Now, the wind is coming over his left shoulder. Maybe over the wicket, if he persists with that line to the left-hander, gets the wind to take it away from him, put it on a good line, sorry?
Yes, I think the ploy would be with the free slips and the gully, perhaps to get the ball going across the body of the batsman.
Let's see what he does with this delivery. That one, he starts wide of the off stump, uses his line, gets it to come back into the batsman. Some poor feeling, really, by skipper Joshua Da Silva. Allows the batsman to cross to 2 runs. That's 2 runs to Islam. Takes the score on to 15 without loss.
Yes, skipper Da Silva did not want to put in the dive in the initial attempt, but having missed the ball, gave it a chase and then had to put in the dive eventually. So one could perhaps fault him on this occasion. But valuable runs nevertheless to the Bangladesh team, and also Hassan able to open his account.
Agreed. So Joy and Islam, some good running by them as Philip continues once more. Into Islam, the left-handed Islam, and he cuts well. That one just beats that fielder just at that cover position and runs into the boundary now.
Yes, excellent shot there by Islam. Phillips on this occasion, just a bit too short, really standing up tall and just banging this one through the cover region and getting 4 exquisite runs there.
And in a sense, he set himself up for that. He had been bowling consistently wide outside the off stump, and this time Islam decided he probably got the pace of it a bit and went for that shot.
Yes, a good execution in the end.
So Philip, let's see how he can finish off in once more to Islam. Around the wicket, wide of the crease and wide of the off stump. That goes through to the keeper, brings an end to the over. Bangladesh, they're 19 without loss.
Yes, one would say an end of a productive over really for Bangladesh. Some 6 runs coming up the over and 6 runs to the account of Islam. But on this occasion, one would say that Philip really did not bowl a good over. We saw about 4 of those deliveries, just 2 wide outside the off-stump and 1 really short and wide, really inviting the batsman to cut. And we saw him play a delightful shot through the cover. So certainly not the best of overs for Philip. Perhaps he may be tiring. This is his 5th over.
And the sun is out and in all its glory. And as we were discussing, Greg, maybe he would have been better served if he had come over the wicket, get that ball with the wind moving away from the left-handed batsman.
Yes, with the coming over the wicket, the angle generally would have taken the ball away from the batsman. But perhaps he wanted to be angling the ball into the batsman and then taking it away into the slip cordon. But it's very challenging for most bowlers to be approaching that line of attack.
So Justin Graves is taking over from the pavilion, and he had a good first game. Justin Graves picked up 3 wickets, really was effective, and he did most of his damage from this pavilion end, and he will be hoping to repeat some of that figures, if not do better on them. First ball, however, he didn't do better with that ball at all. It was short, wide down the leg side. A despairing dive from keeper Imlach. Couldn't get it, and it goes across the boundary now. That's 4 extras.
Yes, now spare thought for the wicketkeeper Imlach. It was judged biased by umpire Dayton Butler. But to be fair to the keeper, he had to cover a fair bit of ground. This was a really wayward delivery down the leg side.
He almost climbed the hills of Beausejour to get to that one. Takes the score on to 23 without loss. And Justin Graves, maybe just a loosener, but what a loosener it was. His skipper will want him to come tighter with this one. Graves from the pavilion end into Joy, and Joy drives nicely on the onside. There'll be a chase on here for skipper Joshua De Silva. Can he pull it back? He does not pull it back. Well timed, that one. Races off to the long on boundary. Good looking shot.
Yes, good execution there. Again, Graves perhaps just guilty on this occasion of bowling a full line, but the batsman just really caressed this one through the vacant mid-on position and getting 4 valuable runs.
Yes, and it would have been Archibald who gave chase to that. Archibald coming into the team today. Chase in vain as the score moves on to 27 without loss.
Yes, in the last 2 overs, the Bangladesh certainly have been picking up the pace.
So Graves, can he improve on this? Oh, good delivery, really good delivery. That one just short of a length, coming back, some movement, pass over the stumps, and Imlach had to do some work to collect that on the leg side. So after 4 byes and after being driven for 4, Graves has come back with a Jaffa.
Yes, good delivery indeed. This one really jacked back tremendously, and one would say for the batsman fortunate enough that there's a fair bit of bounce in the wicket. The ball was able to go over the stumps, but he would say it was well left.
So let's hope Justin Graves is finally settled into his line and length. This delivery, and that's a good delivery up to the batsman. Joy pushing out to that, killed the ball, took the pace off just in front of him, and no run.
Yes, Graves certainly seems to be settling into a good rhythm now. The first 2 deliveries, first one in particular was wayward, second one driven for 4, and then we have seen him settle into a good line, good length. So certainly one would say the first 2 deliveries perhaps were just looseners, and he's really settling down really nicely now into getting into his work.
So let's see what Graves can do with this delivery. Bangladesh at 27 without loss. Up to Joy, and again, ball full on the off stump. Joy just pushes it out on the onside, no run. Bangladesh, I assume, Greg, you think, and we imagine they would have learned from that first game, and would certainly be seeking to repair some of the damage, or repair some of the mistakes, put to right some of the mistakes from that first game. Graves in once more, wide of the off stump, and Joy just watches it go by into the gloves of keeper Imlach.
Yes, certainly they would have learned from some of the mistakes that they would have done in the first game, and would want to correct those. But the first over there from Justin Graves really did not start off well, but towards the end, one would say really came back beautifully. We saw one delivery in particular really jack back off the wicket. So certainly one would think that this is just the loosener, and one would think that he will want to continue very much from where he left off in the first game.
So we've lost a bit of the sun to the right of us. We see some rains on the hills. Thankfully, that's in the direction that the wind is blowing. So we're really hoping it will take those clouds away from us. But as you can see, it's gotten a bit darker, Greg Wilson.
Yes, the condition has changed a bit. As you did rightly said, there's a bit of rain in the Bois d'Orange Marisol area, but this is away from the cricket ground towards the western side.
So we've seen a bowling change from the media centre. Colin Archibald, he's come into the team, and he will be taking the ball from this end around the wicket, over the wicket. Left arm over the wicket. And do you think this is a good change, Greg?
Yes, Phillips certainly was looking like he was tiring a bit in the 5th over. Certainly was not the best of the 5 overs that he bowled. So perhaps the time was right to bring in Archibald. And it's always nice to keep your bowlers as fresh as possible also.
Colin Archibald plays for the Leeward Islands. In now, when the number 1 on his back, left arm into Islam, and Islam just behind that plays it into the offside for no run. So Archibald, fresh young face in the West Indies setup. 3 first-class matches. Just 25 years old, into Islam. And Islam, he'll tell you, left that outside the line of the off stumper. Has a funny way of leaving that ball, just plays over it.
Yes, good delivery there by Archibald. Just join Islam in a beat into the shot, but last minute just decided not to play a shot, so it was well judged in the end.
Archibald, he has 19 first-class wickets. Greg, an economy rate of 3.69, an average of 30.9. In now left arm over the wicket, Islam. This into his pads, easily worked onto the onside, and they'll run through for a single, easy single, takes the score on to 28.
Yes, easy runs there indeed. This one just angling into the pads, and the batsman just had to come down on this one plate into the mid-on region, but they were able to scamper for a very easy run. So the scoring seems to be getting much easier for the Bangladesh team. They're not under the sort of pressure we saw from the first 4 or 5 overs that were bowled by the West Indies team.
Archibald now to the right-handed Joy, staying left arm over the wicket. Good ball on the off stump. Joy just gets behind it, pushes it out into the outside. Archibald, of course, you would have seen him with the St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots. Just 25 years old. He's considered a bowling all-rounder, a left arm fast medium. And every opportunity to stake a claim for the selectors to look at him, Greg.
Yes, certainly. He is bowling on a sort of surface that certainly should be able to assist him.
This one just coming back into Joy, and Joy very watchful, very experienced. Joy getting behind that delivery, playing it back down the wicket. At the end of Archibald's first over, score remains on 28 without loss.
Yes, the end of a quiet over there. First over by Archibald. Did bowl a few deliveries just about a little too wide outside the off stump. Perhaps need to make the batsman play a little more. But as one would say, this is his very first over, so one would say it's basically a loosener. And would want that he would settle in very quickly, and perhaps see if you could get a breakthrough for the West Indies team. Unlike the first game, the openers certainly are doing a very good job.
And he didn't, just coming into the team for this game as well, he wasn't a member of the squad in the first game. Rain-affected first game as well, of course. It's the rainy season here in the West Indies, even though it's summer everywhere else.
Yes, it's not the sort of time of the year you really want to have cricket.
Greaves continues over the wicket. This one full and wide of the off stump. Pushes it out into the offside and he'll get no run.
Yes, I'm just looking at the 5-day forecast for this week. Later on in the week, they are predicting that there's going to be some system that's going to affect us. So let's hope that we're going to get,
absolutely,
some cricket in before, the rain really comes in.
It's a left-handed Islam on strike. As Greaves runs in once more, this pushes this one wide of the off stump. It's an easy leave for the batsman. That won't trouble him, and neither will it trouble the scoreboard.
Yeah, Greaves certainly a bit too wide to have the batsman playing. Just sort of, one would say, sort of releasing the sort of pressure we saw from Mindley and Phillip in the opening overs.
Both of these teams with their senior teams in action today. Bangladesh, one day against Zimbabwe. As Greaves runs in, tries to work this on the leg side, doesn't make contact. Comes off the thigh pad, it looks like, just rolls back down the wicket. There'll be no run.
Yeah, certainly this last delivery, you could have seen there was a bit of movement. The batsman was sort of squared up a bit. So certainly there's still a bit of movement that the bowlers are still getting.
Greaves in once more, another wide delivery, and these Bangladesh players, they will certainly want to stake their claim as well for selection into their senior squad. Bangladesh playing Zimbabwe today in an ODI match. Comfortable win over Zimbabwe. Bangladesh beating them by 105 runs, scoring 256 for 9 and skittling out Zimbabwe for just 151, Greg.
Yes, a good convincing victory. The last game, Zimbabwe did put up a good performance against Bangladesh, got some 300 odd runs to win the game.
Greaves once more again outside the off stump. So a hint of rain here, but it's not falling. However, it is falling in Jamaica. We understand that the T20, first T20 between the New Zealand and West Indies, that's been delayed because of rain. New Zealand batting first. They're at 95 for 2 after 11.2 overs. So rain in Kingston, but we're keeping it away in Beausejour, in Gros-Islet.
Yes, the region seems to be affected by rain at this time of the year.
The score, of course, 28 without loss. Bangladesh batting first. Islam, as Greaves runs in and tries to cut at this delivery. Another one wide of the off stump. An awkward looking stroke, didn't make contact, and maybe it's fortunate for the batsman that he didn't, and goes through to the keeper. So at the end of the over, maiden over, it's 28 without loss.
Yes, Greaves a bit wide on a few occasions in this over, and look like Islam is the sort of batsman that like to get back to ball. This last one, short and wide outside the off stump, perhaps just could not resist, threw the bat at it, but no contact was made. Perhaps fortunate enough for him, because this ball was extremely wide.
Not too many fans in the ground, and it's something we would have talked about, the ability to maximize, get support in for these games. It's good cricket. Archibald, left hand, over the wicket, and it's driven well by Joy, but he doesn't get any joy. That one goes straight to the fielder. There'll be no run. And Joy, a decent test average, of around 45. He's played 3 test matches, has 100, has a 50, and I think very much will want to work his way back into that Bangladesh test team.
Yes, certainly. You could look at his demeanor out there. You could see he looks like an accomplished batsman.
Absolutely, yeah, certainly. Archibald now. And it's driven well, but once more he finds the fielder. So Joy, accomplished and all, he's picking out the fielders this time.
Yes, to exquisite drive, so to speak, but straight to the fielders. First at the maiden and then through to the covers. So let's hope that perhaps the fourth occasion he'll be lucky.
Well, it depends. Now let's see if Archibald takes note, because eventually he's going to beat those fielders on the offside. So is it that he's going to try something different, hold it back maybe a bit shorter? We'll see. Archibald in now to Joy. He gives him the same shot. He edges it and he's out. He's caught in second slip. Joy and Archibald maybe just held that back a bit, as we said, moved away from Joy. Good bowling. He saw the batsman. The batsman was up for it, but Bangladesh losing their first wicket on 28. Archibald has struck.
Yes, good strike there by Archibald on this occasion. Still a pitch-up delivery, but it was just slightly wide on this occasion. So certainly the ball moving away from him and getting the outer edge and straight through Athanaze at foot slip. So good bowling there by Archibald.
And good sharp catch by Athanaze. And the West Indies, they'll want to certainly up their fielding. And in that first game, they put on a few catches that they ultimately did not regret. But still, you want to take all your catches, you want to put on a good show. So really good work by the West Indies. They've captured their first wicket, and they'll be looking to make some more inroads, Greg. 30 overs left in today's play officially.
Yes, certainly they would want to get as many wickets as possible by the end of the day's play. But just going back to Archibald, the first two deliveries we saw, they were pitch-up deliveries, and Joy was driving but couldn't evade the fielders. And on the third delivery, Archibald just bowled this one slightly wider. It was still a pitch-up delivery, and certainly Joy must have thought on this occasion, third time that he would be lucky, but only succeeded in getting the outer edge, and ball just flying to Athanaze, who took a very smart catch to his right. So certainly the sort of breakthrough that they would have wanted, and with some 30 overs remaining possibly in the day's play, they would want to pick up as many as possible.
What would you say Joshua Da Silva would settle here for, or would hope for, maybe 3-4 wickets?
I would reckon at least 3 wickets minimum. I think if with just perhaps we could say one session to get 3 wickets and say Bangladesh perhaps 50 to 60 runs at most, I think it could be satisfied with the effort of the bowlers.
Bangladesh, they've just lost their first wicket. Hassan Joy gone caught in second slip off the bowling of Archibald. 28 for 1. Brings Saif Hassan in to join Shadman Islam in the middle, Greg.
Yes, Hassan in the first game got a start, but really did not continue. Perhaps certainly did not get a half century. We saw quite a few batters got some good start, especially with the West Indian. So one would hope that Hassan on this occasion would want to put up a good score, a much better performance than what he did in the first game.
That's right. He just got to 20 before he was caught behind. Archibald now into Hassan, leaves this one. So we were saying just 20 in that first game before he was caught by keeper Imlak off Minley. Got a start but was unable to carry on. Just 23 years old, young Mohammed Saif Hassan, right-handed batsman. He bowled a bit of off break as well. And no stranger to the Bangladesh team, Greg. Hassan has played 6 test matches. 159 runs, just an average of 14, not an enviable average. He'll wanting to build on that.
Not good enough returns.
He just pushes his bat out to this delivery from Archibald. Makes its way down to that fielder in that point region, no run. Success for Archibald. Looks a sharp bowler. It's good physique. Just up that pace a bit, left arm over the wicket. He can be a real handful.
Yes, certainly a lot of left-handers. Certainly a handful when they get it right.
Archibald just too wide of the off stump. And the West Indies showing some promising left arm bowling. We haven't had too much of that in recent past, but now we're seeing some youngsters popping up. And good news for the West Indies, a left-hander can always be a tricky proposition. You would know, Greg, you faced a few in your time.
Yes, certainly they could be a handful for sure. Recall the likes of Pedro Collins. I had the pleasure of facing him at least on one occasion. So certainly they could be a handful for sure, especially if they get the in-swing in Yorker right.
What do you think is the most unsettling thing about a left-arm seamer when he gets it right?
Well, the ability to take the ball away from you and then almost with the same action able to bring it back into the batsman.
Keeps you guessing.
Yeah.
Can Justin Graves keep Islam guessing outside the off stump? They've been persistent with this line, Greg, outside the off stump. We've said maybe it's been a bit too wide. It's born success for them. It has resulted in the wicket of Joy, and Bangladesh not adding to the scorecard. They've remained on 28 since losing that wicket.
Yes, the outside line is not a bad ploy, but it's just that it's a little too short and too wide.
Yeah.
Because it's not the sort of lane that would really want to draw the batsman into the drive, so to speak.
Gotcha, because that's exactly what the delivery that Archibald delivered. It drew him into the strike. Let's see what Graves will do with this delivery. Strater just works it into the onside for no run.
Yes, and what we've noticed with Graves, a lot of the pitch-up deliveries, they are straight at the stumps and not really outside of the off stump, where we would encourage the batsman to drive, where you have the strong presence of fielders.
Yeah, not seeing too much of that ball being pitched on a line and moving away maybe from the left-hander. But then he's bowling into the wind. Do you think that's going to impact him anyway?
I don't think that should impact him a great deal.
Graves into Islam. It's a good delivery. Edges it. Has it been put down? The bowler holds his head in despair. It seems, is it that the hero who just took the catch, Athanaze, has he put it down? We get the replay now. And it's exactly as you said, Greg, pitched up, forcing him to take that drive up in the air. But it went to ground. And Athanaze looking at his hands. That was the delivery, Greg. That was the delivery.
Exactly what I was asking of the bowler, and that's what I think we need to see more of those deliveries, just outside the off and inviting him to go into the drive. But unfortunately, Athanaze put this one down.
Yeah, and we were just talking about the West Indies not doing themselves any lack of favors by dropping catch as well. I think that is one they will certainly rue.
But good ball nevertheless, and one really has to applaud Justin Graves for hitting that area, but he needs to do it a little more consistently.
Yeah, and maybe that old lesson we learned about slips not coming up too early, when we were in school. As Graves once more to the left-handed Islam behind this one, pushes it back down the wicket, thought of a single for a minute. They won't get it. A sharp, the fielder moves across quickly, sharply, prevents any thought of a single. So maybe the slip getting up just a bit too quickly. That one kept a bit low, off the edge.
Yes, kept a bit low, but as you did indicate, perhaps Athanaze just came up a little too early and hence wasn't able to hold on to this one. But feeling close to the wicket is not that easy.
So this one much too wide, and easily for Islam. So Islam has a life at the end of this over. Still, the score remains on 28 for 1. Could have been 28 for 2.
Yes, has to consider himself very lucky to have been given a chance, but this is all part and parcel of cricket. So he just lives to fight another day and certainly would want to knuckle down and see if he could perhaps bat the remainder of the day's play.
Talking about lucky, say hello to Surinder Lucky Kalon, one of the GMs, a big fan of cricket, one of the Sandals GMs here in St. Lucia. Lots of big cricket fans in St. Lucia. I'm pretty sure that Greg, and it's something we've talked about for many years, the ability to get some of them out here. It's good cricket, to see some good cricket.
I think on the whole, I think West Indians now are starting to gravitate more towards the T10 and the T20, the longer version. They're not so much into it.
Well, let's see if Archibald can do anything to change their minds. Full and it's driven out into the offside. Thought about a single for a moment. The fielder runs across from that point position and there's no run.
Yes, good delivery again by Archibald. Really looking to bowl a full length, really looking for the batsman to drive, and this is what brought him the success in the last over. So if it's not broken, why fix it?
The batsman on strike, Saif, yet to get off the mark. He's come in after Bangladesh lost Hassan Joy. Archibald into Saif. Easy delivery to fend off defensively into the offside, no run.
Yes, Archibald certainly is making Saif play as much as possible. 2 deliveries bowled to him, certainly making a concerted effort to attack the stump. But I would still love to see him driving outside the off stump with those free slips on the gully.
Yeah. Archibald one in. And another delivery, easily behind that delivery, a no run, Greg.
Yes, the batsman just coming into the wicket is not going to be looking to play a great deal of shots. You would not hope that he would be playing across the line so early. So that's why perhaps the Floyd would be look at more at a fourth stump outside the off stump, having him to tempt him into the drive. Because we've got a vacant cover region there, he may be tempted to go through the covers and you may just induce a false shot from him.
Archibald in once more. And this one, much too wide. Saif Hassan, watchful, lets it go through to the keeper. And the pitch still looks a good pitch. The pitch here at the Daren Sammy Stadium, normally a pretty good pitch, gives assistance to the bowler. And we see that there's still something in it.
Yes, this is just day one. If anything, it still should be a bit of preparation, moisture out in the middle.
Archibald into Saif Hassan, and this one on the off stump works it into that vacant cover region, as Greg Wilson had been talking about. And some good running. They run through for 2, maybe a bit more urgency with the fielding, Greg, but that takes Bangladesh on to 30 for 1.
Yes, good run in between the wickets. I thought it would have only been 1, but Said was alert enough to realize that Phillips, was not too eager at putting in the effort, and he did come back for a second run.
What can Archibald do now? And he could be driven well. There's a chase on here for the fielder from point. He gets it now. The batsman just easily ran through for 2. Maybe they could have thought about pushing for 3, but 2 runs added to the scorecard. Bangladesh 32 for 1. At this point, we get some more comments from Greg Wilson, and then it shall be the one and only Visham Lalman.
Yes, last 2 deliveries there. You see Saeed driving through the cover region, getting to the light foot runs, and Archibald certainly making a concerted effort to bowl on a full length, perhaps looking for the swing, and why not? This is what really brought him the dismissal of Joy. So he certainly would be in pursuit of a second wicket, and with Asif just new to the crease, perhaps should continue with that ploy just outside the off stump, and we want to say welcome back to Vicham.
Thank you very much, Greg. And it's been a good passage of play thus far by the West Indians and the Bangladeshis. And Greaves continue to bowl well at the moment. And of course, in the last over, inducing a false shot from Shadman Islam. And tell you what, Athana's, I think it was a difficult catch. It was going down low to his right. He did well to get to it, but in the end, just getting away from him. And that must have really put a damper on the West Indies' plans. But they need to get back up and running and continue to do the good work that they have been doing in the early exchanges thus far. That one coming through a bit quickly there to Imlak, who was caught on his feet there. He was jumping back as he took that one.
Yes, wicketkeeper Imlak from the very first game. To me, he has struggled a little with the gloves behind his thumb.
Yeah, he has struggled a little bit, and what we would have noticed is that he was reaching out to collect the ball rather than letting the ball come to him, and you were analysing that. And you were saying that you did some keeping as well in your time, and that you would normally allow the ball to come to you. He has a good captain with him as well, wicketkeeper batsman Josh De Silva, who could be passing on some wicket-keeping knowledge as well.
Most certainly. But Justin Greaves perhaps just attacking the batsman more on his body, and he should remember what really brought him success early on. Those drivable limb just outside the off stump.
Yeah, those full pitch deliveries, not too full. That, as we mentioned earlier, those deliveries that that would invite the batsman to come forward and play at the delivery, just on about that fourth, fifth stump line, and the length, a 3/4 length. That's better. And Islam, though, he doesn't want to have anything to do with those deliveries outside the off stump. He would have, of course, he would remember what had happened in the previous over that he faced up to Justin Greaves. And that comes, when we speak about awareness, Greg, we don't just speak about awareness, we speak about situational awareness, yes, but you also have to be aware of what's going on and what had went as well. What you need to put those things in the past, but at the same time, you need to remember that, hey, I made a mistake here, and that needs to be corrected as I go further into my innings.
Yes, most certainly. The batsman has to be aware of what is happening at all times. Is there a certain subtlety in the change of bowling, certain field changes? You have to be on your P's and Q's at all time, because all it takes is just one lapse in concentration and you're back in the pavilion.
Yeah, and how many times we see that, more so from West Indies batsmen. You're doing so well, then there's a lapse in concentration. I think it's a lack of awareness as well that contributes to that. Excellent delivery there from Greaves, pitching and coming back in to the left-handed Shadman Islam as the over comes to an end, the end of 16 overs. The Bangladesh A team, they are 32 for 1.
Yes, another tight over there by Greaves, not giving anything away, but just a little too wide on occasions outside the off stump, as you did indicate. What brought him the success early on, the drivable length, just a 3/4, 4th and 5th stump line. We need to see a little more of this.
Yeah, we need to, and I think Josh De Silva would be speaking about that to his bowlers. He would be in the air. He's a vocal captain as well. And we are going to see Archibald, but something different here from Colin Archibald. He's going to come around the wicket now. He's been over the wicket in the previous couple of deliveries, and he's driven beautifully for 4. A lovely shot there from the right-hander Saif Hassan.
Yes, on this occasion, just a little too full outside the off stump, really inviting him for the drive, and he technically obliged, and this went like a bullet through the covers, although we've had some overnight rain, but it really sped along the carpet for 4.
Dismissive, so to speak, from Saif Hassan, you have to say. Just leaning into that shot. No real foot movement. Throwing his hands at it. There were 3 fielders on the ring there on the offside. There's a cover. Wide mid-off. And also a backward point. That didn't faze Hassan. This time, in an attempt to straighten his line to compensate for that shot in the previous delivery, Greg, he just goes down the leg side.
Yes, perhaps just pulled this one down a little too early. The ball just went wide down the leg side. Good work done there by keeper Amlak. But the previous delivery were exclusively driven through the covers, And one would hope that with the 2 slips and a gully and with the free fielders on the ring, as you did indicate, he perhaps would look to continue inviting him into the drives.
Yeah, I don't think he would mind those drives for 4 too much. He'd want to continue in that fashion and much like that, but just pulling back the length a bit. And this time Hassan is not interested, and I think I'm seeing some intent from Tevin Imlak, and I'm sure his coach Andre Nicolo Coley would have spoken to him about his wicket keeping as well. They may have taken notes, and I'm seeing intent from him to allow the ball to come to him, which is good. 2 slips and a gully in position for Archibald. This time it's edging and straight to that backward point field. Let's come around just a tad bit and no run. So it has been a spectacular day here in Grossi. And Greg was mentioning earlier on air with Sunil Ramdeen that there is some weather, some disappointing weather that's on the forecast, but one would hope that it stays away from Beausejour in Grossi. This time Hassan is driving again, but he finds Marquino Mindley, who gets behind that one to stop it. It was a powerful shot. Mindley did well.
Yes, the ball was powerfully driven straight to him. A good support there for the bowler.
Yeah, great support. And support, Greg, doesn't come vocally alone. When we speak about support, Greg, I think we mean, physically in the field from your fielders, backing up your bowler, not just, urging them on to do well out there, but support comes in doing the right thing as a fielder to ensure that your bowler does well, as this one is worked away nicely by Saif Hassan, and he will get an easy 2. Solozano, the man doing the work out there from backward point. Yes, Greg, and I think, support as well, as I mentioned, comes in that form.
Yes, bowlers, especially fast bowlers, always like to see the fielders give the 100% support. If you are driven out in the field, you want to see the fielders giving chase, putting in the slide, putting in the dive. You feel that someone is out there, helping your cause. But sometimes you see ball being driven out and the fielder sometimes just escort the ball into the boundary and they just go and retrieve, so to speak. So it really is disheartening to the bowler, especially when you have a hot, humid day and you have a bowler really running in. So that is when you really need the support the most.
It's a flow chart. It's a flow chart, because doing that would lift the confidence of your team, and it would also build pressure on the batting unit as well, and that could also lead to wickets. Here is Justin Graves. Ooh, a bit too wide, you have to say there, to really invite Shadman Islam. And in this format of the game, you don't want to be that wide outside the off stump. You want to continue to be testing, and I say testing with great effect, testing the batsman.
Yes, and also one would say tempting him as well, because with those wide deliveries, you're not really tempting him into playing any shots.
He's on 7 of 47 deliveries, Shadman Islam. And remember, in the last game, he went for 17 of 46. So he's gone down in his run scoring a bit in terms of the rate of his run scoring. And Remember, he took that blow to the head at second slip in the field when a ball burst through his hands off the outside edge of the bat of Tej Narayan Chandapal of the bowling of Anamol Haq. That was a big blow for the Bangladeshis, and he was immediately taken to the medical facilities, and it's good to see him back out there now. And Graves continues to be a bit too wide here this afternoon, and Justin Graves, he had a good showing in the last game. I think that he partnered Markino Mindley and Jeremiah Louis and these guys very well. And Graves had figures of 3 for 26 in 16.1 overs.
Yes, it was a good effort from him in the first game.
Cricket being played at the Daren Sammy Cricket Stadium here in Grossi Lay. And Daren Sammy, a pivotal figure in St. Lucia. He has done so much here in St. Lucia, not just in St. Lucia. He's been honoured in Pakistan for his participation in T20 cricket there, and so much that he's done. And he's been honoured here as well for winning those 2 World T20 titles with the West Indies as captain. So hence his name is on this stadium, the Daren Sammy Cricket Stadium. And such an iconic stadium it is here in St. Lucia. It's a full toss there from Graves. A real freebie that Islam looks disappointed in the manner in which he couldn't have put it away.
Perhaps Islam is more in survival mode than anything, because most top order batsmen would have put this one away.
Greg, I have to ask you, I think many persons agree with this, and I'm not sure what are your thoughts on it. Those low full tosses, to me, they are difficult to hit. Many persons tend to think, hey, it's a full toss, why the batsman didn't put it away? But a low full toss, Greg, that's almost, ankle height, as you would say. I think that's difficult to put away,
Yes, certainly the low full tosses are difficult, because on most occasions they are also deep in as well. Now you look to dispatch this into the boundary, and you find most times than not it tends to hit the toe end of the bat. Now once the ball comes up the toe end of the bat, and more so with a pacer, it's not going to travel that far.
Exactly. And someone who has done that well is a West Indian, Rovman Powell. He has put away those low full tosses very well in his career thus far. I think Ryan was mentioning that in the last game as well.
One thing about Rovman, if you look at, he tends to stay low when he's dispatching those low full tosses. So the ball still comes off almost the middle of the bat.
Yeah, I think that's key when you're playing those deliveries, those low full tosses. As Markino Mindley is going to come back into the attack. Greg, I think it's safe to say it's getting a bit dark here at Grossi Lay.
Well, you say it's getting a bit dark. I would say it is dark. But certainly if it's too dark, the umpires would pull out the light meter, as we saw they did in one of the days. Was it the third day?
Yep.
Yeah, they did pull out the light meter. So I think the conditions are still safe enough to bat.
Remember, umpire Carl Tuckett, and this one into the air, and just short of Colin Archibald. That one getting some height there from Markino Mindley.
Yes, certainly this one really got, what would say, big on Saif. And really, it came off, I think, the shoulder of the blade. Fortunate enough for him, there was nobody at short leg or close enough to take the catch. So good start there by Mindley.
Top start, and that's been the kind of player Mindley is. He comes in and immediately he's bang on target. That's what you like to see from your seamers. And Markino Mindley, he has led this attack so well for the West Indies A team. This time punched off the back foot. Excellent shot there from Saif Hassan, and he earns himself a boundary. Not looking to overhit the ball there, Greg, just all placement and timing.
Yes, good execution there by Saif. Shot there by Mindley, really standing up tall, getting on top of the bounce of this one and just hitting it through the Vican cover region and gets himself 4 valuable runs. So well executed shot.
Skipper Josh De Silva had no chance to get onto that one. It raced along the carpet here at the Daren Sammy Cricket Ground. Good comeback there from Mindley and Saif Hassan, and had a start in that first game, and now he is back in here looking to make a name for himself here. He's played Test cricket for Bangladesh, and he's boiled back down to this level of A-team cricket, and he would want to stand up and stand up tall at that. This time down the leg side, worked away nicely, but Imlak gets in the way. We'll have to wait and see, and if that
Leg by.
actually a leg by, so no run there to Saif Hassan, but a run to the Bangladeshis total. Hassan is on 14. Shadman Islam is on 7 of 52 deliveries. I think the aim for these Bangladesh A batsmen is to just bat out the day, see out this afternoon period, Greg.
Yes, certainly that would be the main objective at this point, with the light quickly fading. You don't know what time the umpires may offer them light.
And Mindley, I think he's going to be getting that ball to move into Islam, who's flashing at that one. There's lapse in concentration if there ever was.
Yes, certainly a lapse in concentration, and what one would say perhaps the sort of fifth line we've been asking for. And immediately he's been called down by Saif Hassan to have a discussion, just reminding him that perhaps the end of the day's play is not far away. So just hang in there.
He's been there for a while, yes, 7 or 53 deliveries now. He hasn't looked in total control, you know, Greg, of this innings. You have to say, this one coming back in sharply, but he dealt with it nicely. Is hanging back on the toes and working it into the onside for one.
Yes, certainly his innings has not been the most confident of innings. We see him flirted at a few outside the off stump, and then he was put down. As you indicate, it was not the easiest of catches by Athanaze, but nevertheless he was given a chance. So certainly he's riding his luck out in the middle.
And Shadman Islam would have made his test debut back in 2018 of November, and that would have been against the West Indies at Mirpur. And the last test match that he would have played for the Bangladesh senior team would have been against South Africa at Durban on March 31st to April 4th of this year. So he's looking to work his way back into that team. And of course, the Bangladesh team finally getting up a victory today against Zimbabwe. And after 2 defeats against Zimbabwe, courtesy double tons from Sikandar Raza, the all-rounder. And Justin Greaves comes back into the attack, and he has bowled 5 overs, none for 4 maidens in that, Greg.
Yes, good efforts from Greaves so far, but I think most importantly he would want something in the W column.
Yeah, certainly. And Shadman Islam, after taking the single of the final ball of the last over from Markino Mindley, he's now back up facing Justin Greaves. And speaking about Shadman Islam, we'll just mention this after this ball from Greaves. It's a better line, better length from Justin Greaves, and he has the ability, Greg, to move the ball both ways. That's Justin Greaves.
Yes, we saw that in the first game, and certainly this innings we've seen him done it on a few occasions.
Yeah, and speaking about Shadman Islam and his test debut, now to his first class debut, he would have debuted against, well, for Dhaka Metros against Khulna Division at Cox's Bazar in 2014. This time down the leg side, a poor delivery there from Justin Greaves, one that was tailing in to the left-hander, starting it a bit too straight, and ticked away fine for 4.
Yes, just on this occasion, the Greaves just pitching one just about middle and leg and moving down the leg side. So it was very easy picking for the batsman. Just worked it down for the vacant fine leg region, getting himself 4 valuable runs.
Speaking about easy pickings, Greg, just to the left of our apartment where we are staying, and Damiel Road. Talk about easy pickings. There are some mangoes. That's on 2 trees. Some Julie mangoes, Greg. That's up for easy pickings as well.
Are you a big fan of Julie mango?
I am. I have a back home in Trinidad. I have a tree to the back of my home.
You're a lucky guy then.
Lovely mangoes, the Julie mangoes, Greg. I'm sure you enjoy them a lot.
I think I enjoy all mangoes. Once it's mango, I do enjoy them.
Yeah, I think I've seen a lot of mango trees in this area. In Grossi.
But is it one of the more popular mangoes in Trinidad?
Yeah, I think Julie mango, certainly is one of the more popular mangoes. It's a good delivery coming back in there. Good leave, you have to say, from Shadman Islam.
Yeah, good testing overs so far, with the exception of the freebie, one would say, down the leg side. But on about the off stump, just outside the off stump. So the off stump line to Islam certainly is a good ploy, but it just need to be a little more consistent.
Well, what we've seen from Islam is that he's comfortable working those deliveries into the onside, and he has shown that he isn't that proficient with those deliveries that's just back of a length outside the off stump, and those full pitch deliveries as well. But he is capable of working the deliveries into the onside. At least he's shown that much. So Graves should be encouraged to pitch the ball up or just put it back off a good length on about that off stump, fourth stump line. That's too wide. Imlak again. Simple take, and it balloons out of his hand. It's in and it's out, and that completes the 20th over of the day and of the game thus far. It's 48 without loss.
Yes, bit of an inconsistent over there by Graves. Really bowling a few just wide outside the off stump, perhaps too wide, not really tempting the batsman to play at any shot. And with at this hour of the day, top order batsman, their job is to let as many balls go to the keeper as possible. And speaking about the keepers, as you did indicate, Imlak again, not collecting this one cleanly. What should have been a straightforward.
Mindley is going to come back in from the northern end, the media center end. This one coming back in. We saw the deliveries in the previous over from Mindley tailing away from the right-handed Saif Hassan, which allowed him to play those deliveries comfortably through the offside. He was expecting that there, Greg, but that one coming back in.
Yes, he drove 2 through the covers earlier in the previous over, and certainly you could have seen him just waiting back on the back, perhaps looking to play them through the covers again. And on this occasion, this one really cut back sharply at him. So one would say good thinking by the bowler Mindley.
Yeah, but that shows that Mindley has the ability. Oh, there it is again, coming back in, climbing. There's a chance for a run out at the non-striker's end. And well, Shadman Islam, he's back home in time, not in Bangladesh, but here in Grossi.
Yes, Mindley. This one cutting back sharply and a fair bit of bounce as well, and hitting Saif on the gloves. And we could see him now shaking off, looking at the hands to see if there's any damage done. And he's looking like the pinky finger, one would say, and he seems to be in a bit of pain.
Well, Shadman Islam would know a lot about pain, so I think they're calling out the physio immediately here to have a look at the fingers of Saif Hassan. And that doesn't look good. That one came back in sharply. It got some height as well. He played it well. He played with soft hands, dropping the hands on it, but it was all glove. And that's what has now fueled the physio to come out there. He's in some discomfort. He's shaking off that left hand, Greg. And I'm sure you would have gotten hit on a number of occasions in your time, and you would know a lot about that. Have a look at that again, Greg. That one coming back in. And had he left that, he would have been hit right in that mid-rib area.
Yes, certainly The 5-ounce ball jamming your finger on the handle of the bat is never a pleasant feeling, especially to a fast bowler.
Yeah, and Marquino Mindley, we know he can work up some steam, and he would have peppered some of the Bangladesh A batsmen with those short deliveries in the last game, and they would have found it very difficult. So getting Saif Hassan there in some discomfort, and I think he would have peppered Jaka Ali Anik, the wicketkeeper batsman for Bangladesh A, and he wouldn't have had a good time. But it looks as though we've had some good news. It looks as though Saif Hassan is ready to go once more, and he's all well. So that's good to see.
Perhaps it would be a good time to perhaps bring in a short leg fielder to play in his mind, believing that he may be getting a few short ones, and bowler on a full length most likely will be having him trapped on the back foot.
Yes, certainly. And Mindley, that would, give him some confidence, seeing that Saif Hassan is not handling the short deliveries well when it's bowled on his body. Maybe it's a chance for Mindley now, as the West Indies would want to pick up a couple wickets here heading in to tomorrow. I think maybe it's a chance for Josh De Silva to instill a short leg fielder.
Yes, especially with the two deliveries jogging back at Saif and one hitting him on the glove. He certainly would be mindful with the fielder close enough to the bat. So in that case, you tend as a batsman want to play more on the back foot than looking to come forward.
And we've seen that Hassan likes the deliveries pitched up outside the off stump. So he's one person you don't want to be bowling those deliveries to. Just like that, he's punching it powerfully. De Silva is giving chase. He does well, and he relays it to Solizano, who gets it back in. 2 runs to Hassan. He likes it out there. He's someone you don't want to continuously feed deliveries outside the off stump. He looks in control. Have a look at that again. He just stands there, gets that back foot with a minority just across that off stump, and he punches it beautifully.
Well, the off stump line of attack perhaps should be full or not. Yeah, good shot right there. Like I was saying, if you realize a lot of the balls that he's hitting through the covers, he's not hitting them on the front foot driving. He's basically standing tall, punching the short delivery outside the off stump into the pick and cover region. So perhaps the fact that he is inclined to play outside the off stump, perhaps look to bring him on the drive.
Yeah, I think he's a bit flat-footed as well, because those drives, as you mentioned, when it's pitched up, he's just throwing his hands at it. He's not getting the foot moving at all. So that's a good point, Greg. Good testing delivery there from Mindley to complete the over, and in the process the 50 comes up as well. It's 50 for 1 at the end of 21.
Yes, Bangladesh should be sort of pleased with the effort so far. Some 21 overs bowled. They've only lost 1 wicket and 50 in the process, and the 2 batsmen, Saif, who just came in, he's been batting positively for his 16, and Hassan was been there from the inception. Faced quite a few deliveries for his 12, but although he has been given a life.
Remember, the first wicket to fall was that of Mahmudul Hassan Joy, caught off the bowling of Colin Archibald at second slip by Alec Atanese. A diving effort, and was a good looking catch there by Atanese. And of course, Joy went for 17. That left Shadman Islam, and it brought in Saif Hassan, who've batted well thus far together. And Graves will continue from the pavilion end, and he's wide outside the off stump.
Just a little too wide. Certainly not encouraging the batsman to play a shot other than just allowing it to go through to the keeper, and he'll be more than happy to do that. That would ensure his survival this evening.
Yeah, lots of cricket going on for West Indian cricketers, Greg. There's the Under-19 Championship, that 3-day tournament that's going on in St. Vincent and the Grenadines at the moment. It's a good delivery from Graves. And there's also the West Indies Women Under-19 team. They are taking on the United States Under-19 team in Lauderhill, Florida, at the Central Broad Regional Park, and they got a victory last night, and they equaled the series. It's 1-1. It's a 5-match T20 international series, and of course the West Indies taking on New Zealand as well. So lots of cricket for West Indian cricketers.
Yes, very much so.
So allowing Islam to come forward to those deliveries there now is Justin Greaves. And he's taking a bit too much time here to realise that he needs to pitch up those deliveries. Just when you're bowling short and wide outside your stump or down the leg side with a new ball, you're wasting the deliveries. And there's a field change now. He's sending back that forward square leg fielder on the boundary. Or not just entirely out to the boundary, but just inside. Islam is just standing there, and he is not playing at those deliveries.
Yes, Islam would be more than happy to just allow the ball to go through to the keeper. As the top of the batsman, the late stage of the day, that's what we really want bowlers to be bowling at you, just outside the stump. Just shoulder arm and just allow it to go through to the keeper. And you'll be more than happy to know that before blink of an eye, the end of the day's play and I'm back the following day.
Yeah, I think if they can remain just one wicket lost here, Bangladesh A, and go in to this afternoon in the dugout, they would be happy with just losing one wicket.
Yes, I think they would be the happy of the two teams, having been inserted to bats with overcast conditions and still fair bit of preparation moisture. To have lost just one wicket in the session, you would have been a happy team.
Yeah, and I think Josh De Silva and the West Indies A team won't be that happy having won the toss and electing to field first. They would have wanted to make some more inroads into this Bangladesh A batting lineup. As the 22nd over comes to an end, it's 50 for 1, and Hassan, he is on 16, and Shadman Islam, he is on 12.
Yes, the scoreboard, looking at the scoreboard, it still shows that there's another 20 overs remaining in the day's play. Looking at the time of the day, it's 3 minutes to 5. So it's very much unlikely that we are going to get those 20 overs in.
And as you said, it's quite dark as well. So certainly those 20 overs would be a stretch if they are to get that in. I don't think they would. Mindley, who has bowled 6 overs already, been a bit expensive. 19 runs coming from his 6 overs. And that would have come from the bat of Saif Hassan, mostly from his bat. Saif Hassan is enjoying the conditions out there in the middle. This time a bit too wide there to interest Saif Hassan, and he has played the situation well. Saif Hassan is coming, he's played the ball on its merit. He's allowed the good balls to go by, and when he's gotten the bad balls, Greg, he's been able to pounce on them.
Yes, it's been good, sensible batting from him so far.
This time this one keeping a bit low, and Imlak having to go down very low to clean up that one, and he relays it to Casey Carty at first slip. Some birds flying around the ground as well. Everyone wants to be at the cricket. There's so much cricket, as I said, going on at the moment. West Indies, the last score that we would have seen in that game against New Zealand at Sabina Park would have been 95 for 2. The rains came down in that first T20 international in Kingston. This time Hassan just watches this one onto the bat, playing it very late and playing it on his eye line, which is good.
Yes, good technique shown there by Hassan.
So Karaya just going up to Makino Mindley and having a word with him before he runs in. And Karaya is a senior player as well. He would have captained the West Indies Cricket Board's 11. Ooh, this one almost ducked into it there, Saif Hassan. Luckily it moved away, didn't jag back like we saw in the last over.
Yes, Hassan Saif certainly showing that he is not comfortable with the short pitch delivery, and certainly did not handle the last one that was bowled to him well at all. As you said, very fortunate enough that this one did not jag back in him. If not, he would have ducked into the ball.
Well, I'm interested to see what Josh De Silva is going to do here. He has now moved from that cover region. He's going in to a leg gully position, it seems like. And now he has brought up the backward point fielder who was on the boundary into the circle. And of course that would have been, for that delivery, a short delivery. And it's a no ball signal by umpire Carl Tuckett. So looking to pitch the ball in short and looking to get that extra pace as well, Greg. He's bowled a no ball.
Yes, striving for the extra pace, but I would want to think that if you're going to look at the short pitch delivery ploy, perhaps a short leg would be best suited.
Exactly. I certainly agree. And Josh De Silva going into that backward square leg position. There's a wide fine leg fielder, very wide, on the boundary, that stage in Ryan Chandapol. There's also a deep mid-wicket fielder on the boundary, just inside the boundary, and there's a short mid-on, very short mid-on fielder who's wide as well. That's Yannick Karaya. That's the fielders on the onside. Two slips and the gully awaits Makino Mindley. I think Saif Hassan played that one very early there as the over comes to an end. That's the end of 23. It's 51 for the loss of 1.
Yes, the Bangladeshi batsmen are continuing to battle on. Saif, looks like the ploy to him would be the short pitch delivery, but I still believe that the fielder perhaps in the wide mid-wicket region is a wasted fielder. I very much doubt at this stage of the game, this hour of the day, that the batsman really going to take on the short pitch bowling. So I would want to think that if you're going to attack him with the short pitch bowling, have fielders in more close-in positions.
And one of those fielders would be the short leg fielder, as you mentioned.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah, maybe you can put in a leg slip fielder as well, or a leg gully fielder. Move that. Certainly I agree with you when you say move that deep mid-wicket fielder from out on the boundary. As you're speaking about the batsman not taking on the short pitch bowling, there is Shadman Islam looking to do so. And
it's Islam and not Saif.
What a welcome back though for Anderson Phillip, who comes back into the attack.
Yes, was delivery there. Shot. And Hassan really getting on top of the bounce of this one, keeping it all along the ground and just picking up 1 run.
It was struck powerfully. I think he missed out there. He would have wanted to struck that one maybe a bit straighter, a bit squarer as well. Either side of that field, it could have been 4. But good work from the fielder down there at deep backward square leg. This time too short, too wide, and crashed away through the offside for 4. Lovely shot there from Saif Hassan, who seems to be dealing in boundaries.
Yes, certainly this one was inviting for the cut short, and really he did oblige, short and wide, and he really had all the time in the world to free his arms and really bisecting these two fielders there beautifully for 4. So well played.
Top shot from Saif Hassan. We were speaking earlier, Greg, about how much Saif Hassan likes those deliveries short and wide outside the off stump, and I think it was a gift from Anderson Phillip.
Yes, certainly it was.
This time again, too short, but underbody. Difficult for Saif Hassan to maneuver those deliveries into the off or into the onside. Of course, following this second unofficial test match between West Indies A and Bangladesh A. 3 more days to go in this test match. There is also 3 one-day matches coming up as well between both units. This time short and not getting through as quickly. Hassan ducking very early. And what we could have seen there, Greg, is what you would normally tell the youngsters to do. When you're ducking, drop the hands, drop the bat. Do not allow it to hang in the air.
Yes, quite a few batters tend to do this. They would duck, but the bat would be pointing straight up as an antenna.
Philip has been persistent with those short deliveries, this time wide and a bit fuller. Very surprised that Hassan didn't take him on there. There's Colin Archibald, the man who struck first blood for the West Indies today, and he was able to take the joy away from Bangladesh. That's the man Mamadou Hassan Joy, who went for 17, who was caught at second slip by Ali Katanes for 17, as I said. Philip, number 48 on his back, the man from Trinidad and Tobago. Speedster for the Red Force. For a moment there, I think you would have thought that Saif Hassan would have taken on that delivery, but that completes the over. It's 56 for loss of 1.
Yes, Bangladesh would be very pleased with the position in which they are presently. Just losing just 1 wicket. And we see Saif looking out there very positively. Certainly, most of the deliveries that have served to him short outside the off stump, he has really taken them on. And this seems to be the ploy we're seeing to Saif, a lot of short pitch bowling at him.
Yeah, me just want to get that ball a bit fuller outside the off stump. He is not that proficient. Well, at least we've not seen that much deliveries testing him outside or off stump that have been full pitched. But it's 5:07 p.m. here in Grocery Lace and Lucia, and it's right about now that the players have been greeted with some drinks, and we'll be taking a drink as well, and we'll be back in about 5 minutes or so for continued coverage of this game. So we're ready to continue the action here at the Daren Sammy Cricket Ground after the drinks break. It's 56 for 1, the Bangladesh A team. They are, of course, batting first after being sent in by Josh De Silva and the West Indies A team after he won the toss just about 3 p.m. this afternoon. And the game got underway about 3:15. So Shadman Islam, he's there on 13, and Saif Hassan, he is on 20. As I welcome back into the commentary box, Greg Wilson.
Yes, pleasant good afternoon to all following the broadcast.
And lots of broadcasts by Windies Cricket, of course, on YouTube because of the amount of cricket that's happening. That's the 3 games at the moment that's being played in the Under-19 Championship in St. Vincent. And of course there's also radio coverage of the West Indies and New Zealand game as well. Shadman Islam is taking strike to Markino Mindley. And this one coming back in sharply and cutting Shadman Islam in half.
Yes, good deliveries. As you indicate, this one really jagged back sharply and really passing between the bat and the body of the batsman. And wicketkeeper Imlak again did not do a good job with this one.
Yeah, and he had to move to his right quickly. And he was just maybe wrong-footed as well because that delivery was pitched way outside the off stump. And as you rightfully said, coming back in sharply to the left-handed Shadman Islam. He needs to be a bit watchful here, Islam. Getting late in the day. But Mindley again serves up a no ball. That's not good.
Mindley perhaps striving for some extra pace at this stage in the afternoon and really transgressing the line.
Yeah, looking for that extra pace, and you can see it because he's looking to dig the ball in short a bit as well. That's a Jaffa there from Mindley pitching and just holding its line. Shadman Islam playing way inside the line of that, and there is some concern again down there on the northern end of the ground. It seems to be the groundsmen. Or is it some of the kids who are playing some softball cricket there, Greg?
Yes, there was some camp earlier on with Coach Alton Crafton, and some of them are still around watching the cricket.
And they're playing their own game as well, down on the northern end of the ground, as Islam just gets a delivery on his hip area, and he works it away nicely for 1. So over in Kingston, Jamaica, in Sabina Park, the game has gotten back underway. New Zealand, they are 100 for 3 after 12.2 overs. And the pick of the bowlers thus far, Odin Smith with 2 for 16 in 2. Jason Holder striking as well, 1 for 14 in his 2 overs. This time back here at Grosselet, Mindley is down the leg side. And that's not a good delivery at all to end the over. At the end of 25 overs, it is 58 for the loss of 1.
Yes, Mindley, looking at him in his second spell, is not been as consistent as we saw him in the opening spell that he had. For some reason or the other, been spraying the ball around, and even as we did indicate, on 2 occasions has bowled no balls. So certainly he's struggling a bit in his second spell.
Yeah, and back to Sabina Park, Greg. Martin Guptill, he had an explosive 43 of 29. Sorry, actually that's Devon Conway. And Martin Guptill had 16 of 17. And Kane Williamson, he's not out on 19 of 17 deliveries. And Daryl Mitchell, who has been in hot form this year for the Black Caps, he's on 2. This time Islam pulling this one. And not pulling it powerfully, just dropping the hands on it to earn himself one.
Yes, it seems to be in total control of those short pitch deliveries. So Phillips certainly would need to change the line of attack.
Yeah, and we saw that. Just prior to that drinks break, Philip was short. And yes, he was short. It's one thing to be short and on the body. But what about, those deliveries outside the off stump and down the leg side? That's not good at all. When you're bowling those short deliveries, you want to be on target.
Yes, most certainly.
And more often than not, if you're bowling to a batsman that doesn't like those full pitch deliveries and outside the off stump that's moving, and when you realize that a batsman's not quite proficient with playing the moving ball outside the off stump, and especially on a track that's nipping, that the ball is nipping with the covering of grass that there is, you want to use your short delivery as an odd delivery, a surprise delivery, Greg.
Yes.
It's short, yes, but wide outside the off stump.
Yes, certainly the bowlers are not using the condition to their effect, to their advantage, I would want to think.
Yeah, and it's a track that if you win the toss, you would want to bowl first, but you would want to put up a better effort than what we saw from the West Indies team, or the West Indies A team early on. You want to seize every opportunity to get into a batting lineup when you have these conditions. And this time Philip is pitching up that one. He has Hassan fending at it, and he gets one.
But what the West Indies bowlers need to take into consideration, the wicket that they got, the sort of delivery that it was, the opportunity that was created and resulted in the drop catch. They were similar deliveries. So one would think that you would have seen those sort of deliveries being bowled on a more consistent basis.
Yeah, exactly so. And we have not seen that happening. And it's quite surprising that that hasn't happened. This one, though, rushing on to Shadman Islam, hitting the bat high up there, and he still manages to get one. And Anderson Phillip hasn't had the best of times in international cricket since getting his call up. And there's so much seamers finding their way into the West Indies setup. And, when you get your opportunity in that West Indies setup as a seamer, be it left-handed or right-handed, you want to really make a name for yourself. You want to cement your position, Greg, because there are so much seamers coming into the setup.
Yes, I mean, once you're competing, you want to be in the reckoning at as much as possible. And this is a golden opportunity that is presented to some of the West Indies fast bowlers. And more so, you've been given a sort of wicket that would assist you if you put in the hard work and put the ball in the right areas.
Yes, certainly. And yeah, there's so much seamers. And as I'm mentioning, left-handed, right-handed, Jaden Seals, look how well he has come in, and he has really cemented his position as an opening bowler for the West Indies Test team.
Yes, certainly. I remember when he made his debut here last year. And since then, he has not looked back.
Yeah, he's continued to prize forward Jaden Seals, the young man from Trinidad and Tobago. And, of course, he's been partnered beautifully by the senior campaigner, the experienced man, Kemar Roach. And I think what better bowler to be working with than Kemar Roach?
Yes, certainly. Kemar Roach has put in the hard work, and he has reaped the sort of some success. So certainly Jaden Seals could learn a thing or two from him.
Yeah, and here's Yannick Karaya. This could be interesting. Yannick Karaya coming in, the leg spinner. He's coming in very late into the afternoon here. And he has a slip, a short leg in position. In the first game, he bowled a bit too short, you have to say. And he has the googly in his armory as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how he operates here in this late afternoon, Greg. is well flighted, but he has protection down at wide long on. Mindley is there, so only one to Islam. That's much better from Karaya, from what we've seen from that first game. And Saif Hassan, who has been taking on the pace bowling, I would like to see what he does against the spinners. We may not see much spin in this game, though, with the track as it is. Maybe if the track dries out as the game progresses. But Karaya has an opportunity here now to get a wicket for his captain and his team very late on in the piece.
Well, the two deliveries we have seen so far from him, we have seen him made a concerted effort to bring the ball up as full as possible.
Yeah, and he's delivering the ball very high as well. And Yannick Karaya would have played for the West Indies on the 19s team as well in that World Cup in New Zealand. This one coming back in, he's getting some turn there on that occasion. Would have played in that under 19 World Cup in New Zealand back in 2010, and since then he's not broken into the West Indies senior team, but he's been in and around regional cricket. He's been a regional stalwart for Trinidad and Tobago, and he's played a number of A-team cricket matches for the West Indies team as well. Shadman Islam is just happy to play this one to the silver at short mid-wicket. .62 for 1. Back to Karaya, who does well. And we were speaking earlier about fielders backing up their bowlers, but what about backing up yourself, Greg, doing good work off your own bowling?
Yes, it's always good that when a bowler could feel off his own bowling.
And Karaya with a fancy hairstyle coming into this game. Quicker delivery, flatter through the air as well. And that completes the first. Yannick Karaya's over at the end of 27 overs. It is 63 for 1. After more thoughts from you, Greg Wilson, you will be joined by Mr. Sunil Ramdeen.
Yes, good first over there by Yannick Karaya. So he made an effort to bring up the deliveries. Bowler sort of a full length. We saw a few occasions the batsman driving through to the long off area, picking up some easy single, and we saw a few where he was able to feel off his own bowling. But all in all, first over from Karaya, good over, did not give any freebies, was not on the short side as we saw he did on a number of occasions in the first game. So captain would be pleased with his first over, I would want to think.
So Philip, big appeal, lots of effort put into the appeal, but no effort from the big appeal. As I was saying, Greg, lots of effort into the appeal, but no effort from the umpire. He fails to put his finger up. Thank you very much, Visham Lalman. And Visham, an August-born Virgo, born on the best day of the year, I'm told, August 29th. Has an upcoming birthday.
Well, also I'm on August 1, I'm August 23rd.
And I'm August 29th as well. We're in the company of wonderful gentlemen. Michael, when were you born? All right, well, let's just stick with the August-born men. Anderson Phillip into Saif. And this one wide. So, Greg, we saw Saif surviving an appeal, an effort ball by Phillip for LBW there.
Yes, well, there's a good delivery there by Phillip. But we see him again, the inconsistency, just followed up with a very wide delivery.
Yes, certainly. And you were speaking shortly about the nature of the pitch, Greg. Now, we know what the nature of the Daren Sammy pitch is. It can give you a lot, but you also have to be able to discern between what you think the pitch can give you and what the pitch is actually giving you. As Phillip runs into bowl to Saif. And this one outside the off stump, well left, Bangladesh on 63 for 1. Saif looking good. He's on 22. And it's the sign of a good team, Greg, I think, after being bowled out cheaply in that first test to really take stock, come back, put that game behind them, and Bangladesh now look to just get on with it.
Yeah, like I said, for most of these batters coming from the subcontinent, the wickets, the bouncy track and the sort of PC, it may take them a bit of time to get accustomed to the sort of wickets.
Philip, and now to the right-handed Saif, who just gets behind that one, pushes it out into the offside. There'll be no run.
So I think having played the first inning here and the bowlers themselves getting a ball out there, they would be more acclimatized to that sort of condition, and one would expect a better effort from them the second time around.
So if you just joined us, and I don't know why you just joined us, we had a bit of a delayed start. The West Indies eventually winning the toss, opting to field first. Bangladesh being put on their 63 for 1, the wicket loss, the wicket of joy. Philip into Saif, and it's a good delivery, but very watchful and good leave from Saif as well. Outside the off stump and short.
Yes, good delivery outside the off stump, but the Saif really on this occasion had no interest in playing any shot, just allowing this one to go through to the keeper.
And at this stage of the game, Greg, I mean, I know you said it, and I know you'll say it again, you need to get the batsman playing at deliveries. At this point, those deliveries, they don't earn you too many match-winning points.
Not at all.
Let's see what Anderson Phillip will do with this delivery. And it's a good delivery, but again, Saif has certainly gotten his eye in. He's not being tempted. He's not pushing his bat out. He knows where the line of his off stump is, and he knows that once it's short of that length, which Phillip is persisting with, then it's an easy leave.
Yeah, it's very easy to just allow the ball to go to the keeper. It needs to be a little closer to the batsman, a little fuller, perhaps inviting him to go for the drive. Those balls we have seen driven outside the off stump, they are basically short, so he's just standing up tall because he's a tall man and he's just punching through the covers.
So as you see the scorecard here, Joy, he would have gone, caught Athenaeus off the bowling of Colin Archibald for just 17 at that time. Bangladesh for 28 for 1, but they've done a good job. A bit of a recovery here as Karaya continues from the media center end. He's bowling to Islam, who's been there since the start of play today. A bit of flight, getting a bit of drift, but again, easy enough for the Bangladesh opener to just come forward and push it into the offside.
Yes, good ball there by Karaya into his second over, and he has basically looked to attack the stumps as much as possible.
Karaya, 30-year-old Karaya, in once more to the well-set Islam, and he just comes forward. That one gets a bit of an edge for a moment. You wonder, Greg, maybe not off the bat as collected by the fielders at bat pad.
Yes, really looking to pull a full length and perhaps look to get the close-in fielder at short leg into play.
That's a good
bat pad.
It's good delivery by Karaya. He's thinking this one a bit too short and cut away. He's fortunate that the batsman was not able to penetrate that offside fielding cordon. Gets away with that one.
Yes, certainly got away with this short delivery. One would say the first loose delivery he has bowled so far in his spell. Partnership
now 35 of 97 balls as Karaya in once more to Islam, and he drives into the onside this time, but skipper Josh Da Silva. Visham spoke about supporting his bowler well there. Trying to get the grip on Karaya. And, one of the things we talked about, certainly from the West Indies bowlers, both spinners and seamers, is the ability to really change up, have a diversity of deliveries. And this one, on the front foot this time, Islam, an appeal, but I dare say a bit of a hopeful appeal. The umpire wasn't interested.
Yes, just looking at the monitor. Oh, this one perhaps struck outside the off stump, one would say.
I would say that. Outside the line of the off stump. But what I like is Karaya giving the ball some flight, and he does it again. Islam coming forward, much more watchful this time, making sure he gets his bat to that ball.
Yes, Karaya seems to be enjoying he's bowling so far out there. You could see he has just completed his second over. But as you did indicate, he's prepared to flight the delivery. And he's only bowled one loose delivery, one would say, in the 12 balls that he has bowled so far.
Correa has been part of the West Indies setup for some time. As I said, 30 years old, no spring chicken, as they would say, but still lots of time to have a successful career. I certainly think a spin bowler is something that the West Indies in particular, an effective spin bowler is something that can really add value.
Yes, certainly, and more so a good leg spin bowler.
So let's hope that he can do some work with his attack, as we see Anderson Phillip once more steaming in from that pavilion end, and as expected, just short of a length into the batsman, comfortably behind it.
Yes, this seems to be the line of attack to Saif. Really back of a length and short.
Saif looking quite comfortable with those deliveries. And what do you think, Greg? What would you do to maybe change things up a bit?
Perhaps go wrong the wickets, angle the ball across him, see if you could tempt him into the drive with the ball going, that is angling across his body pass for an over or so. But just try something different.
Well, let's see if your thoughts can carry out, Phillip and the skipper in the middle. At the moment, it's all very regulation. Another delivery, another dot ball. Bangladesh on 63 for 1. They won't be, well, if the runs come, they'll take it, but I think at this point they'll be looking to just get to the end of today's play.
It's just a question of surviving the day's play.
Phillip, he really came close to, I think, to giving away his wicket, Greg.
Yes, perhaps a real lapse in concentration, one would say, because you've gotten a number of those deliveries outside the off-stumper, and this time around we just see him just fiddling at this one. Luckily for him, did not get back to ball.
Yeah, and we just spoke about a relapse in concentration, and if he did get a little bit on that ball, Anderson Phillip would have looked up at us and said, I have the last laugh, guys. Let's see if Saif, can take stock once more. And, ooh, what a leave, you'd say.
Yes, but good bowling there by Phillip on this occasion. Saif would have played for this one to be going away, but this one really came back at him. But luckily enough, did not come back sharply enough to perhaps plug the off stump out.
As you said, good bowling, good change up. So we're seeing Anderson Phillip starting to use his experience, starting to change things up a bit, getting this Bangladesh batsman thinking. As he's in once more. Oh, and another good delivery coming into the batsman. This time just working it out into the onside and picking up an easy single. Takes the score to 64.
Yes, Phillip certainly mixing things up a bit. And this is what you want to see, because once you could get the ball moving in both directions, chances that the batsman may not pick the right one, and when he's playing for the one that is coming in, he may just get the outside of the one going away from him, and then you could successfully see the back of him. So certainly he's mixing things up a bit.
It brings the left-handed Shadman Islam into bat. He's been there for a while, 17 runs off 85 balls. Steam will be happy with that. In the conditions, Anderson Phillip, Islam, and he pulls nicely, but he's not able to beat the protection there on that square leg boundary, and he'll just pick up a single.
Yeah, Islam has really handled those short pitch deliveries very well. He's not looking to clear the boundary. He's just basically getting on top of the bounce and keeping it all along the ground. So certainly good batting by him, especially those short pitch deliveries.
Yeah, all his shots on the leg side so far have been very controlled. He hasn't tried to hit them too hard, but I think it's certainly what it does. It allows him to get a good sense of the pace of the delivery and the bounce as well. So it's Correa continuing from the media center end. Yannick Correa had an appeal in his last over for LBW. And then, of course, I got one to come back in to the left-handed Islam. And he'll be, I imagine, seeking to do the same thing in this over, Greg. Giving a lot of flight to the ball, hoping that he can get some drift, he can get some turn back into the left-hander. Karaya in once more to Islam. Lots of flight on this delivery. Maybe over-pitched just a bit, driven back, and some good fielding as well by Karaya of his own bowling.
Yes, good fielding off his own bowling.
There is a field on a long-on boundary, but it's a very short boundary. So I think Islam would feel he may have missed out a bit. Karaya in once more. Once more flight, and this one is driven into the offside. The fielder in that mid-off position just runs around, collects. It'll just be one run. Rotates the strike and brings Saif back in. This time, Karaya has the opportunity to bowl to the left-hander. The right-hander, sorry.
Yes, I think he'll be bowling to the right-hander for the first time.
And as a leg break bowler, this is what you'd relish.
Yes, the ball moving away from the right-hander. Once you could get it to land on the right spot.
Let's see what he does. Karaya into the right-handed Saif, giving it good flight. Saif driving. Can't get a run. Minley collects, tosses it back into the bowler. As the sun leaves us, Karaya into Saif, and that's a good delivery, a bit flatter, got a bit of spin, but the batsman watchful and behind it.
Yes, Karaya has been bowling good areas so far, only considering somewhat free runs so far, and he's into his third over.
Karaya, and again, giving it some good flight. This one just maybe a bit too short. The batsman coming forward, pushing it down the wicket. Bangladesh at a run rate of 2.14, but they won't be too concerned about that. Karaya in once more. This one just too wide of the off stump. Allows Saif to leave that easy as it goes through to the keeper. So at the end of 31 overs at the Daren Sammy Stadium in St. Lucia, Bangladesh are 66 for 1.
Yes, good batting there by Bangladesh. Certainly they would be the happier of the two teams, as you did indicate, 66 for 1, and with some 11 overs remaining on the board. But I very much doubt we're going to get those 11 overs. Perhaps if we had two spinners in operation, we would have gotten close to that.
Yep. If you're wondering, it's just about 20 to 6 in the afternoon here in St. Lucia. As we're drawing close to the end of play, the sun has left us for a moment. A lot of clouds around the ground. And Philip, around the wicket this time to the left-hander. Into the left hand, who pushes forward, tries to get it into the onside. There'll be no run. Saif was thinking for a while, maybe the single was on, sent back by his partner. Still 3 slips in effect. More protection on the leg side this time. Whitish fine leg. A man on the square leg boundary. Shot mid on. It's Phillips. In now. To bowl to Islam. He's behind that, pushing it out into the offside. Islam. 90 deliveries he's faced.
Yes, 90 deliveries for 19 runs. So certainly a good vigil for him out in the middle.
Just what his captain would have wanted. Mithun had a good 50 in that first game, Mithun, and he'll be hoping that he doesn't have to come in this evening, I'm sure. Hoping that these two can see Bangladesh through to the close of play today. Phillips once more. A bit too wide and just left.
Yes, definitely a little too wide on this occasion. But it is not an ideal time that most top order batsmen like to come out in the middle very late in the afternoon. And we see a few teams tend to opt for the night watchman.
So it'll be very important. Number 1 and number 2 are out there, and they're going to have certainly to try to take their team through to the close of play today. Phillips, he'll want to give his captain at least another wicket. His team's in from that pavilion end, much too wide. Islam, he won't be tempted at this point. We see Phillips indicating to the dressing room, maybe just some sweat building up. It's pretty humid out there. The sun's not out, but it's pretty humid, Greg. We've had some rain, but we've had some hot days as well.
Yes, very hot indeed.
Maybe a change of shirts as well. Phillips, as we see, put in a lot of work today. No surprise, he's covered in perspiration. Steaming in once more. And that one again too wide to tempt Islam. Good concentration by the Bangladesh opening batsman.
Yes, certainly he has had his chance, and since then we have seen him bat really admirably.
Remember in that first innings, Mithun, he was put down behind the wicket. He went on to score 50. So those drop catches, they can be costly. So we're seeing Archibald warming up. Maybe we'll see a change from this media centre end. Again, making the batsman play this time, but comfortably.
Just a little too short. He has enough time to get behind this one and stirs it into the gully region. So certainly we could see the two batters are not looking trouble out there in any way. They just basically going through the motion. When runs presents itself, they are happy to oblige and take whatever that is on offer.
Not looking troubled at all. And you think that everyone probably has one eye on the clock, but I also think, Greg, that offers a great area of opportunity for the fielding team. Because yes, maybe everyone is looking to the clock, but it also offers you to maybe try something new at this stage.
Yes, very much so. Because as you say, the mindset is more or less surviving. And there could always be that lapse in concentration in trying to do so.
Karaya in, and this time we see a change in feel. Silly mid-off, in. Maybe we see those close fielders, Greg. They usually have a thing or two to say to the batsman.
Yeah, sometimes they love getting under your skin.
Crying once more. Some good flight, but again, well defended by Saif. And
there are certain teams that are notorious for that. The close infielders certainly would have a lot to say to you as a batter.
Well, again, some nice flight, but again, Greg, very well played.
Yes, looking to attack the stumps as much as possible, but perhaps just a little too full. Batsman just lunges forward and smothers whatever spin that may be on offer.
Good delivery, gripping well and turning away from the right-handed batsman. So the close-in batsman there, Tej Narayan Chandapal, son of Shiv Narayan Chandapal, not one you'd think would be someone to give some, as we say in the Caribbean, chats to the batsman.
Well, if we have to go according to what we saw from his dad was more the sort of reserved type of cricketer.
Maybe not the guy who will have a few words to say. But again, we see another delivery, giving some encouragement to Karaya.
Yes, good bowling, good testing over there by Karaya. At least on this occasion, we're seeing him the variation in the line, the variation in the length as well.
Yes.
Perhaps what we need to see, the attempted googly, we have not seen that so far.
So Joshua Silva, he's also encouraged, and he's brought himself into second slip. So good attacking move, and as we said, try something at this stage of the game. And it's good to see the West Indies skipper doing that. This time the batsman making room for himself, playing it out to that fielder coming around from backward point to collect. So good over, but at the end, no joy in Bangladesh. They remain on 66 for 1.
Yes, good over so far by Karaya. So on one occasion where he had the batsman comprehensively beaten, but there was quite a bit of variation in terms of the line and the length. So at least, as we did indicate, he's prepared to try something different.
So the only bowler to enjoy success so far has been Colin Archibald, and he came in for this game. He has 1 for 11 of 4 overs, and we saw him warming up, and it does look like he'll be back into the attack from the pavilion end, Greg.
Yes, certainly. If you have tasted success, you would want that ball in your hand at some point in time again before the end of the day's play. And certainly the young man has been given second chance to perhaps bring some more joy to the West Indies. They really would not want to close the day's play with just 1 wicket down. I guess the minimum you would want perhaps 2 or 3, but at least 2 wickets down by this evening. And you would want to see if he could get some further success.
So Archibald left arm over the wicket. Islam behind it just pushes it out into the offside. There'll be no run. Archibald had a good season with the bat as well this season, Greg. In the 4th round of the West Indies Championship, he scored his maiden first-class century. But they'll want him to take some wickets now. And this one getting some good movement, maybe a bit too straight. Drifting down the leg side, Imlak shuffles across and collects. No run.
Yes, just straight down the leg side on this occasion. I think the bowler would be disappointed with his effort, because had the batsman got any touch to this one, it would have gone down through the wicket. Fine leg region for 4. So certainly he needs to bowl to his field with some free slips in position.
This one nicely driven, and that one will go to the boundary. Will it? There's a chase on, and it's a good chase, a good effort. He pulls it in just inside the rope, and the batsman, they will scamper through for a couple.
Yes, Archibald on this occasion just a little full outside the off stump, really inviting the drive, which the batsman kindly obliged, and they were able to scamper for 3 runs. So good aggressive running there between the wickets.
Good aggressive running. Takes his score to 69 for 1. Brings Saif onto strike. Islam, he moves on to 22 of 97. And this right-hand combination, of course, forcing a change in the field with every delivery. Left arm over the wicket. And it moves across. Certainly gives the batsman something to think about. And you, Greg, you were talking earlier about Anderson Phillip maybe coming around the wicket and pushing it across the right-hander. Well, now we have the left-hander over the wicket. And we just saw what he could do with that delivery.
Yes, immediately you saw troubling Saif a bit with that delivery that was coming across the body. So certainly a good testing delivery there to Saif from Archibald.
Archibald, the only West Indies bowler to pick up a wicket so far. Steams in from that pavilion end. And we see some more movement away from the right-handed batsman, maybe a bit too wide.
Yes, certainly too wide on this occasion. Perhaps need to look to invite him on the drive. And this is what we have not seen the bowlers done to Saif enough, other than the Karaya the leg spinner was looking to pitch up the ball, but the fast bowlers are not inviting him on the drive at all.
Some decent pace as well. You think maybe there's a field on fine leg boundary and one at square leg. Maybe one of them could possibly come into that gully position, Greg, with Archibald getting the movement he is getting this time. Bit too straight. Saif works it into the onside, but there won't be a run.
Again, to Saif, there's a number of short pitch deliveries, so the perhaps hoping that he would play at one and miss time and he could be caught in the deep. But I don't think at this stage of the inning that he would look to be playing those shots. So you need to have more close-in catchers so that if he presents an opportunity, that it would be taken.
So it's just approaching 8 minutes to 6 here. 8 overs remaining. The umpires conferring a bit, possibly having a word about the light, but it appears we will continue for now, will we? Nope. It seems light has indeed been offered. And that brings us to the end of play for today, Greg. At the end of play, Bangladesh, they've closed on 69 for 1. The batsmen in at the moment, Saif and Islam on 23 and 22 not out respectively.
Yes, Bangladesh would be very pleased with the effort of the batsmen. I think Captain De Silva would be disappointed to a certain degree that having inserted the team in, you would have thought that he would have gotten at least 3 wickets with the sort of overcast condition that we have, the green tinge out on the pitch, and certainly the bowlers did not bowl in the right areas enough.
Yeah, and in 1 or 2 occasions they did. They got a wicket, they got a nick, they beat the bat a few times. Only 34 overs today, of course. And as we explained early on, we've had a lot of persistent rain in St. Lucia over the last few days. The first unofficial test was impacted by rain. The umpires, they of course had to make sure that the playing surface was safe for the players, because before we could have proceeded, and we did start proceedings a bit late today. When we did, Joshua De Silva winning the toss as he did in that first game, sending Bangladesh into bat. Had a good breakthrough, a decent breakthrough. Hassan Joy, he was out early on, caught off the bowling of Archibald when the score was on 28. But since then, the 2 batsmen, Saif and Islam, they've done a good job. They've taken the score to 69 for 1.
Yes, we got the early breakthrough, but as you indicate, the 2 batters really, Saif and Islam, really have settled down. They played every ball according to his merit, and really only 1 chance was offered. But they would be pleased with the effort and certainly would be hoping that the rains would stay away and we could have an early start tomorrow and they could continue from where they have left.
Certainly, Greg. Certainly. Hoping that the weather does indeed hold out and that we'll be able to start on time. One of the rare occasions, possibly tomorrow, and get a full day's play finally. But again, Bangladesh completing the first day, curtailed first day of this second official test at the Daren Sammy Stadium in St. Lucia. They're on 69 for 1. Hassan Saif, 23 off 68 balls. The opener Islam Shadman Islam, he would have been there for 97 deliveries, just on 22, but he would have done his job. And Hassan Joy, he went just for 17 off 41 deliveries. Colin Archibald, the only successful bowler, 1 for 14 off 5 deliveries. Brings us to the end of our broadcast. Let us say thank you so much for joining us, wherever in the world you may be. On behalf of my fellow commentators, Greg Wilson, Visham Lalman, and the entire 360 crew in St. Lucia, Cricket 360 crew, we want to say thank you so much, and we look forward to you joining us for live coverage once more tomorrow. I'm Sunil Ramdeen signing off.